Hi Pothuraju, good evening.
Good evening, Rahul.
Yeah, could you please open the PPT?
Okay. My screen is full. See you.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
able to see your screen.
Okay.
Carry on, Pothuraju.
In this in this presentation, I have explained the user variables. In this user variables, in this topic, you will able to show uses of user variable in following artifacts. How to use the user variables in data forms and runtime forms and business rules and smart use. Coming to the next slide. In this slide, what is the use of user variables? First of all, introduction for a user variable. User variable will act as a filter in the forms. To enable the user variable, so user can be focused on certain members only. But if, for example, I have created two members for a user variable, so user I can assign the user to that member. So user one is access for only that are the selecting the user preference type. Selecting the two members, so each one selected, and coming to the what is the use of user variables. So user variables is to user can focus on only one member, certain members only. It is reduce the form size, and it is database size is reduced, and it is easy to fast for running the consolidation. Coming to what is the difference between user variable and substitution variable. Both user variable and substitution variable are created by administrator, but in user variable user can changes the user variables values, and in the substitution variable user does not change the substitution variables. Coming to the next one, each use case do we use the user variable over the substitution variable. I In the user variable you can select the at the palm layer to at the any level, any layer in any place you can select the user variable. And coming to substitution variable, you can certain in the layout form layout access, you can assign the substitution variable. In this user variable you can change the at the point of view you can change the two members at a time. Coming to the next one, can you show me how to create the user variable from the following use case? In this, since you don't have list of the users in the application, try to explain how users variables behave by using the admin user only by using the this use case assumption below. In the use case one assumption, user one is the one of any two members, two entities, assign two entities as values to entity dimension. Now I'll show you how to create the user variables and how and assign the two entities in entity dimension to one user one owner. Now show you how to create the user variables. And first log into the application in the tools card. Under the variables, in this variables card you have two types. One is the user variable and substitution variable. Now talking about user variable, in the top right you have option add. In this drop down you can select the which dimension you. Now as per our use cases I can select the entity is dimension name. In the user variable name I can enter the user entity 2. In this already here, user entity 3. In the user variable I can assign the two entities as per use case, that are the I can select the sales, and I have created the mobile, and then another memory is the TV in the entity dimension, and click on save, and then click on save. This way you can create the user variables in FCC business process. Coming to the presentation, I have created the user one is the parent member and two members at the in entity dimension. Coming to the next slide. In this next slide, how to the user variables in data forms. Can you reuse any of data form and show me how to use the user variable as per use case one from slide C. In this LVL, I have created the user variables for user entity 3 that can be used assign the in data forms. I show you how to assign the user variables in data forms, and go to the application. In the application, create and manage under the navigator. In the navigator, you have option called forms. I have created one simple form that is user variable in data forms. In this, in the entity dimension, in the layout, in the entity dimension, I have assigned the earlier creating the user variables as per your use cases. In the edit, in the variable section, we have earlier I have created the user entity and move to the right side. I can remove the user entity to earlier I have created. So after that, click on save. After that, click on preview. The form does not display because of I did not access for administrator. So user can go to the tools cluster under the user variables. You can select the at least one member for each entity dimension. Now show you how to select the user preference. And click on save and click on finish. Click on close. Close under the navigator. Under the tools cluster, you have option called a user preference. In the user preference, you have a user variables of tab. In the user variable, you can earlier created a entity 3. Now I can check it. User entity. In this, I have select the hierarchy for earlier. I have select the two members per entity dimension. Now I have select the mobile is the one member entity and click on save. And click on save. In this, user can select the user preference for entity. The user preference has been saved, and then go to the forms. Earlier I have selecting the forms. Earlier I have selected the user variable in data forms and click on edit and click on preview. The form layout is displayed. I have in entity dimension. I have select the user variable for mobile display like this, and then go to the presentation. Can we explain how the users one access the data from which is created based on the above question in details of how the entities are restricted to the entity of ownership. Earlier I have now I show you. Earlier I have select the two members for entity ownership for say yes. In selecting the two entities per entity dimension, like one is the entity mobile and second one is the entity. And then I can user preference. I go to the user preference. I can select the one member per entity dimension. I can assign the user variable in data from this way. Earlier I will show you. Now I can go to the presentation. Now should user one supposed to access any other entities other than the two entities he owns in data form? No, it is not possible to access for any entities other than two because of user one is earlier selecting the at least only two members per in entity dimension. That's why it does not access selecting the any other than two members. And coming to the user preference, user requirement, can you show me how to enable the dynamic user variables? Now show you how to enable the dynamic variables in data forms and go to the application and click close again. In the other option, we have an option called a dynamic user variable. In the enable the user variable, automatic one window is available. In this available user variable, what are the earlier I created the user entity 3 and select and click on move and click on save. The dynamic user variable successfully applied to the data from. The main use of dynamic user variable is you can as per your business as per our business standards in a point of view in the data forms select at least one member per point of view. If you enable the dynamic user variables, you can select the two members also. Now show you how to select the two members in point of view and click on save, click preview. Earlier entity dimension is showing one member in point of view. I have created the user variable name is user entity 3. In this I have two entities for a mobile and TV. Now I can change the TV and click on OK. This way you can change the substitution user variables in entity data forms. Now you again go to the presentation. When the data form is saved, the business rules is run only in the context of the entity selection mode. Now show you how to enable the entity context of the selection mode. And again go to the application. In the application, a option called business rules tab in the data forms. In this data form, as per our use cases, I can create the entity rule. and move to the right side. And then in business rules properties, the option this on demand rule is available, and then click on the run after save because of first I have run the rule. After these rules can be saved, and then I can enable the use members as a prompts because of in the business rules I can select the only two members per as per your use as per our use case one. I can select the only two members per TV and mobile. That members is comes for entity dimension only. This way you can enable the business rules in data forms. Now again go to the presentation and go to the next slide. Uses of user variables in RTP. RTP are mainly using for running the business rules. Business, so can you use the user variable in runtime? Runtime. Yes, you can use the user variables in runtime. And if yes, can you limit the user variables in runtime to access able to the restriction user one from accessing the entities other than she? Yes, I can limit the user variables in runtimes. I can enable the runtime from and automatically one option limited values option is available. In this option, I can assign the emphasis. What are the user variable earlier I created user entity 3. I can assign that member and click on save that the user runs business rules. So only can we access that limits members only. Using this RTP in the business rule will show me how it is working. Now show you how to create the RTP on-demand rules and how to assign the scripting to the business rules. Now again I go to the application. In the home page, in the navigator, a option called under the create and manage in the rules tab. In the rules tab, and calculation manager window is open. It is a calculation manager window is used to creating the on-demand rules. Either by if you want on-demand rules for running the consolidation or running the business rules, if you want, you can come to the calculation manager. You can create the on-demand rules by the in the after selecting the business rule, click on the actions, come to the EPM cloud. This is the EPM cloud base and this is the application name. If you want any create the by system create the rule set or expand the console. This is the rule set rules in this. These are the FCC underscore prefix. It is a seeded member. So by default it comes. It cannot be changed or it cannot be modified any members in this. If you want, you can create the any under on-demand rules. Now I'll show you how to create the variables design in calculation manager. By default, this calculation manager is provided by some predefined rules that are. I have created the variable designers. In this variable designer, you have option called replacement define. By default, system can be provided by some system dimensions for accounting and scenario, year, version, and entity. These members are available for creating the RTP rules. In this is global. Global means it is a global level used, and this is the application level. Application level. If you want to create only console-based level, if you want, you can create the console with a variable design. And now I have created the global level and go to the global. In this action, I can select the new. In this, I have provided the name for variables, and then click on in this type. I can select the member. Comes to dimension type. These are the dimensions, system dimension. These are the supporting for creating the RTPs for a calculation manager. One is a account and currency and entity, period, scenario, version, and year. Now as per our use case, I can select the entity. And then I have enabled the RTP. RTP means runtime prompts. In this limits can be limits can be assigned. So user can be only select the and particular members only. Now I have enabled the RTP and then I can assign the default value for what are the user variable created earlier. That memory that user variable is assigned in default variable like this emphasis user entity 3. Again, I can restriction for a user only access for a, but only within the user variables. Now I can limit the users emphasis user entity 3. Once I have checked the user variable, you can go to the calculation manager, access control V. Copy. Click on, if you want any text, please text, enter the text like please enter the entity data, and then click on save. The replacement variables are successfully created. Now I am go to the presentation. I go to the use runtime views, how to show it. I can show you how to create the runtime prompts, and again go to the presentation. Next slide, go to. In this presentation, uses of user variables in business, how to assign and how to write the scripting for a business rules by using the user variables in calculation manager. Can you show me how to user variables in business rules? Now I'll show you. Can you explain what are the advantages of the use of user variables over the substitution variables? Substitution variables only it can be comes with the global level, and as per user variables also is a global level for accessing for a dimension members. But main difference is global level. Substitution variable is at the change at what point it is reflected for a entire application. In this user variable, it does not often is not available. And the third one is, can you explain the which of the following approach is recommended, not recommended for using entity in BR? Please explain why if you can. In a hard code entity, hard code entity means you can manually enter the scripting for a particular entity by using a user variables, and the second one is using user variable for entity. How to in this how to write the scripting for a user variables entity by using the business rules, using the substitution variables of entity. How in this substitution variables, like I have enter the syntax for fix of and end fix within the syntax, I can write the substitution variables entity. So user does not see the which period or which year we can run the business rule. And coming to the using run TP, I recommended for the running the business rules for using entity using the RTP. RTP means user can be see the which period or which day, which period or which entity can run the business rule. So I can recommend it for the using entity in BR rule is using RTP. Now I'll show you how to pass the user variables and RTPs in business rules. And again go to the application in the calculation manager. Again go to the application. I have earlier created the variable. Click on save. And again go to the system view in the calculation manager. Under the rules, these are the FCC physics is the default rules for by providing the system. If you want, we can create the substitution on demand rules. Now, like this way, click on rules and click on write the option called new. In this new, you can provide the name of the business on demand rules. Now I have entered the variable 1. This is the application cloud base, and this is the application name. By default comes with console queue, and click on name. Okay. After that, it take a few minutes. The variable what are the rules is created, it is editable, and then in this you can write the syntax for prefix square bracket, open paras and close paras. In this you can assign the what are the earlier created per runtime variables. Runtime variables name is I have copy and paste variable, and then click I can ending the syntax like this way, end and fix. This way you can write the syntax for and assign the substitution in the business rules for user variables and the substitution variables and runtime. Now I show you it is the runtime user variables, and after that click on save. The variable is saved successfully in the bottom. By default, these are the currency and consolidation entity period scenario. These are the by default comes system can be provided. If you want, you can create also. In this currency you can select the values restricted that are only available for input currency and entity currency, and come to the consolidation. In this consolidation you have select the under the parent entity like entity input and currency translation. Those are members. You can select the running the business rules, and coming to entity. In this entity you can select any base level of members like en0 underscore, for example en01 underscore 01, like. And then coming to period, in this period you can select any period of the like a calendar months for Jan to December. In the scenario you can select the actual or forecast and budget. This is no restriction for the year and scenario, period and entity for these dimensions, and restriction for consolidation and currency. Now and click on the save. After that and click on run the validation. It takes a few minutes and then validation. Validation is successfully with no error, and then deploy the rules by two ways. This is the one option, validation and deployment, and second one is the action under the deploy. Now I select the deploy. It takes a few minutes. After that, one pop-up in is comes like deploy so successfully. Deploy successfully. Click on OK. Again, go to the presentation. This. Can you show me how to use the user variables? I can show you the business variables in business rules, and how now I show you the how to write the scripting for hard coding entity using user variable entity, using substitution variable entity, using RTP in business rules. Again, go to the application. In the calculation manager, I have created earlier. I have created a custom rule 1 or custom 3. In this edit, double click on that. So this is a pix up entity, and npix is the hardcore member, and pix up emphasis a underscore month, and this is a substitution variable member, and emphasis under emphasis user entity. This is the user variable C, and second one, this is the RTP scripting for a run. You assign the business rules. This way you can write the scripting for a hard code and use user variables and substitution variables and RTPs in business rules. Again, I go to the presentation. I can go to the next slide. Next slide is using the user variables in SmartView. SmartView is mainly using for a data can be analysis, and data can be entered manually or through the Excel files. Now, can in the coming to the presentation, can you explain how to insert user variables in SmartView? In this use case 1 from slide 4. In this earlier I have created use case 1 for a user entity 3, that is the user use case for the user variable. Can using the that user variability to generate the reports in SmartView by using ADA can use it. I can go to the application, and again I connect to the SmartView like Excel. I open Excel. In this Excel you have option called a SmartView. In this SmartView you have option called a panel. In this panel there are two types. One is a shared connection or private connection. I have go to the shared connection. In this shared connection, I have entered the credentials for EPM cloud application. Now I enter the EPM default cloud win. This is the username. Again, I enter the password for EPM. Yes. And click on go. 1 minute. PM underscore default underscore cloud underscore in. This is a username. This is a password for EPM demo. Yes. And click and go. The successfully connected for the VPN cloud to the Excel sheet. And again go expand the self server to proceed. In the EPM cloud, expand the IP address and expand the application name, expand the library. In the library area, I can select the user variable in data form, this form, and I can extend the header analysis. Can move to the point of in taskbar. Again, in this area, I have using a user variable for a user preference for TV. Now I can change the user preference for TV to mobile. Again, go to the application in the user preference. Click and save. Again, go to the variables. In these variables, you can see the what are the user variables created as per your business rules. I have created the user entity for mobile and TV. Again to the smart view. In this TV, I can enter the username name for like this way emphasis and user entity, and again go to click on refresh. I can analyze the empty form for analysis. By default in smart view comes with account and entity is a row and period and these are the comes with I can select the console. I can go to the ADAC analysis and click on sheet and point of view. By default comes with the account and entity is the row dimension and year and period is the comes with the period dimension in column. In this is the point of view. If you want, you can drag and drop to the row and like now I am moved to the taskbar. In the taskbar, I can select the members per each dimension. I can scenario is the actual. Now I can show you how to analysis the data in through smart view by using a ADAC analysis. I can option called member selection. In this selection, you can select the members like I can select the account is the ID center ID send and move to the right side. I can select the members per ID sent per cash and cash equivalent and select the members and move to the right side and click OK. Yeah. In this entity, I have earlier created for user variables for user entity 3, emphasis, user, drag to the bottom and click on refresh. The by default user preference, I can change the TV to mobile. So user is by default entity dimension is comes with mobile. In this year, I can select the FI 15 by manually. In the period, I can select enter the period is Jan. After that, click on refresh. the memory is successfully in row column. In this scenario, I can select the actual. In the U, I can select the periodic or anyway as per our business requirement. By default, comes with periodic and move to the right side and click OK. In the currency, you can select the entity currency or input currency for entering the data. Now I have selected the entity currency and move to right side. In the movement, I can select the number for no movement. There is no capturing for a accounting. In the data source, I can select the data input for data entering, or else I can enter the like this way data input, click enter and select that member and move to the right side and click OK. In the consolation, I can select the entity input, click enter. You can select the consolation is entity input for data entering for through smart view. In intercompany, I can select the no intercompany. Move to the right side and click OK. In the multi-gap, you have any gap adjustments for preparing the financial report. I can select the FCC underscore no multi-gap. Click OK. This is a custom dimension for product. Multi-gap is also a custom dimension. And move to the right side and click refresh. The memory is successfully changed. Data source is data input. Consolation is entity input. Intercompany is no intercompany. Multi-gap is no multi-gap. I can select the product is no product. Click refresh. The form is displayed like data entry. If you want, you can enter the data like way and click on submit. The data, what data you can enter the like Novak data for that data is saved successfully in data by using the ad hoc analysis in data absence business process. Data is successfully changed. If you like this way, you can assign the substitution variables for a period. Year is a emphasis a underscore year. Since I can create the year. Like I can create the period for a substitution variable a underscore month. Now I can assign the substitution variables in ad hoc analysis. Emphasis like this way emphasis a underscore month. This is I can create the year for a practice purpose. Like this way data can be moved. If you change the substitution variable, the remote is the entire FCC business, you can change the values like. And again go to the presentation. I have completed the using a SWOT view analysis in using for use case 1 for slide 4 and move to the next slide. And this is the final conclusion for in this topics. You can have a usage of user variables in following artifacts, how to use the data forms in user variables and runtime prompts, how to use the runtime prompts in, by using user variables, how to write the scripting by using the user variables, and how to analysis the by using the user variables, and how to assign the user variables in row and columns. That's all. Thank you. Hello.
Okay, thank you, Pothuraju.
Thank you.